Hello all and welcome to another Winged review, and we're back on the James Herbert scene with another trilogy. The first video I did was just several books off here. I think I did 5 or 6. Some I liked, some I didn't, but it was just a random video I did. I'll put links up somewhere. And but a lot of people who saw it said I should read the Rats trilogy. I wanted to anyway, but seeing as so many people said how great it is, I got them and read them, did another video, which I'll link to. And now I'm going to be doing the Haunted trilogy. Now I finished these books rather ages ago, and I've been meaning to do this for about 6 months, but the things have been going on, it's just got delayed, but finally here we go. Now you may have known that in, I think it was March last year, James Herbert unfortunately died, and it was only a few months after his latest book, Ash, which is the third book in the Haunted trilogy, was released. So it's kind of fitting that in my final video for James Herbert books, I'm actually going to be reviewing the last book he published. So the books for this consist of Haunted, The Ghost of Sleath, upside down, there we go, Ghost of Sleath, and the monolithic Ash. Now if you compare it to the other two books, it's a bit of a beast, but still, even so. So we're going to do what we normally do, just go through them individually, starting off with Haunted. Now it's a fairly easy book. I actually really enjoyed this. The trilogy focuses around David Ash. He's the main character, your normal psycho paranormal investigatory type blokey who goes and investigates paranormal activity and all that sort of thing. So normally with a lot of stuff you have always get the skeptic, the believer, the all bloody blah, and they all come together. Ash is the non-believer, but whereas with every time you get one of these, there's always have some reason why they've gone into the investigative field. And with Ash, it was an interesting twist of what James did with him. Because normally they find though someone dies and they want to prove that there's life after death so that they can know that the person is still around and they can talk to them and blah. But with Ash, he actually, minor spoiler, it's nothing major, because he actually feels responsible for his sister's death when he was young. And he's actually trying to prove that ghosts don't exist, so because if there's no such thing as ghosts, then his sister can't come back and get revenge for him killing her. Or so he thinks, and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of an interesting concept, which I quite liked. And in Haunted, he just gets called up to a mansion somewhere to investigate some sort of haunting. And it was really good, actually, some really good moments. It was a bit freaky, and the ending twist, absolute genius, loved it. So it was very good, really enjoyed it. In terms of things like the Rats trilogy, which seems to be his big, oh god, the Rats trilogy series, it probably wasn't quite as good as the first Rats book. If you want to know my feelings on those books, then just watch the review I did of them. But it's still a really good book. Probably not as good as the Rats, but still very good, interesting character, plot, everything, and I really enjoyed it. Then we come on to The Ghost of Sleath, which is probably a little bit bigger, but still. And in this one, he gets sent to the village called Sleath, where there's random stuff going on, and he has to investigate it. It was still a good book. Not quite as good as the first one, but very good for a sequel. So, though there probably weren't quite as many big twists and all that sort of stuff, the events of this one sort of do continue in, and they do have some sort of effect in this. Particularly, he's starting having nightmares, his mental state, he had a massive breakdown, as you'd expect from what happened to him. So, there are certain things that do carry on into this one, but for the most part, it is a separate script, or plot rather. So, but it still was a very good book, and I did really enjoy reading it. The twist at the end, it wasn't really much. I mean, there was one, yeah, but it was nothing like the twist in this one. So, but the twist does sort of it has a bit more of meaning to the character because of what happened in the first book. So things do come round a bit, but it was still really interesting, and it was a good read. Then we get to this. This took me I don't get a huge amount of reading time, and since I've finished this one about 6 months ago. I have read 2 other Herbert books, and I've nearly finished the first Game of Thrones book. But I don't really get a huge amount of time to read, so to get through something like this took me a long time. But I got through it, and I absolutely loved it. Definitely the best one in the trilogy. It's one of those things that before I got the book, I think my sister actually got me this for Christmas, and I had a look around for it, and the reviews of it seemed to be quite mixed. Some people said it was really good, but a lot of people said it was terrible. So I wasn't entirely sure, but when I went into it, it was absolutely amazing. There was so much good stuff. In this one, David Ash gets sent up to a castle in the Scottish Highlands where there's some stuff going on. He wants to investigate it, there's a lot of other stuff going on as well, and The castle itself it's pretty much like a safe haven for people who the British or the world public pretty much want dead. So it's pretty much, rather than actually killing them off, they get sent to this place where they're prisoners there, they can't leave, but they do live a good life in this place, but the world thinks they're dead, but they get to carry on living and all that sort of thing. So there's various people living there who, if the world found out that they were there would be uproar. And it's very secrecy and all this sort of thing, so there's a lot of stuff going on sort of behind the scenes, the characters you don't know who to trust, who not to trust, and whether what you're being told is actually true or not. And I mean, there was one bit where he was going around and it was flicking back between him doing some investigation stuff and two people just talking about the history of the castle and all that sort of thing, theories and whatnot. So, but the theories and stuff that was going on, the history of the castle, what it's there for and all that, it was so gripping that it was flicking between two people just talking and David Ash who's getting attacked by a load of crazy people, and most of the time you'd want to be focusing on the action, the crazy people attacking him and all that sort of thing, but with how deep and interesting these theories were, the history of the place was, that when it was flicking back over to David Ash being attacked, I wanted it to go back so I can continue reading about the history of this place, and it was absolute genius. The twists in it were amazing, there was some really good stuff. A bit of suspension of belief, of course, not just with the supernatural side of things, but also with, it plays on a lot of real life people, situations and events and all that sort of thing, but it puts a new twist on the reasons behind what happened. So you do need to just sort of like accept it for what it is, rather than just sort of going, no, that's crap, that couldn't have happened, and blah, blah, blah. You just have to roll with it. And it does make its case extremely well, so it's not difficult to roll with it, but you kind of do need to just roll with it a little bit. But even so, it was brilliant. I loved the book. Definitely the best book in the trilogy, and I would probably say that as a trilogy, the Haunted trilogy is better than the Rats trilogy. So, I mean, you'll watch my other video on the Rat trilogy, you'll see what I thought of those. But, I mean, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The people who said it wasn't very good, I'm sure it's a long book and there were some parts that were a little bit drawn out and all that sort of thing, so I can see why some people maybe didn't like it, but in terms of the plot, the characters, what's going on, what's happening and all that sort of thing, absolute genius start to finish. The ending was a little bit of a letdown, but that's mainly because with what was going on and what was being explained in the middle of the book, it reached such a high that it was never really going to be able to end it without coming down a little bit. And so although it did drop a bit towards the end, it was still a decent enough ending, and the book still was absolutely amazing. So as a trilogy, yes, Haunted, Ghost of Sleath and Ash, absolutely amazing trilogy, loved it. I will probably be reading them again at some. I've got so many other books to read. My housemate's decided he wants me to read the Hunger Games as well. He's also lent me another James Herbert book. I've got some other people at work telling me to read stuff, so I've got so much stuff to read. But I really enjoyed the Haunted trilogy. Definitely check them out if you're a horror fan or supernatural stuff like that. Then definitely give them a go. You'll probably quite like them. I certainly did. So give them a go, they're really good. If you don't like them, then unfortunately this is one of those things, but even so, loved them. See you next time.